what's it like to go on a heater like the way you did in the second, and obviously continuing it on in the fourth with the crowd going nuts the way it was?
Yeah, it's fun. Haven't had one like that in a little bit, so yeah, you just kind of feel like everything's going to go in, and it's every possession it's like James and Don are like looking for me, and I'm almost like it's all good. Like I'll get my threes. Like don't need to force anything, but they both did a great job of kind of finding me, and fortunately a bunch went in.
What's it been like working off of those two just in the first 3 games that you guys have been together?
It's been great. James has been, obviously really impactful for us so far, getting us into spots and making plays, and having played for a while with Donovan, you understand each other and know each other, and so James, I think for all of us, it's going to take a little bit of adjustment to understand, almost like his cadence, his rhythm of when and how and where he makes his passes, but having that confidence and understand that he is going to make the right plays and hit you when you're open is big time.
Sam, have you ever been a part of a moment where there was a stoppage of play and the entire arena thinks it's a timeout and guys are just celebrating, especially if it's for you?
No, I don't actually know what happened there. I don't know why they stopped the game, but that was fun. I remember Ty had a crazy one like that last year. Was it against New Orleans maybe, where he just kept coming off a screen and his threes just got deeper and deeper, and so those, whether it's myself or anyone on the team, like those are fun moments.
Coming into tonight, and there was maybe a graphic that said "Get Sam Merrill cooking." Donovan talked about it a little bit after the game, saying maybe it gave you a little extra motivation. What was your mindset coming into tonight? Yeah,
the social team comes out with their keys to the game, and it said "Get Sam cooking again." And I was like, I had a bad game against Sacramento, but I made a couple against Denver. Like it was an overall a pretty good road trip. So just messing with them. Obviously they're great, but for me it's never. I don't ever go into a game thinking, man, I got to make so many threes or do whatever. I know it sounds cliche, but just trying to play good basketball, be aggressive, play with confidence, and obviously tonight you make your first couple and things feel good, but it's not always the case. So I try not to look back too much and just look forward on you're only as good as your next shot. So that's kind of my mindset.
Joe? Sam, when you're on a run like that in the first half, does the basket seem like it's 20 feet wide, or?
Yeah, something like that. I mean, again, I'm not a guy that's really going to force it, but there are times where you can be a little more aggressive when you know that the shot feels good, and there was one or two where towards the end of that first half, I had a flyby, one dribble left, and I think it was Carrington. He kind of guarded it okay, like it was still somewhat contested, but at that point, I felt so good that felt like he wasn't even there, and that's kind of what happens when it gets going like that.
And just with 3 new players, you guys haven't really practiced as a group. What's that like, just trying to go out there? Do you watch film of them with other teams, or is it just follow my lead?
Yeah, it's been interesting. 0 practices. We had the one practice with Keon and Dennis, and James was there, but the trade hadn't gone through yet, so he couldn't do anything. We haven't had a shoot around yet. It's been all just optional stuff, just with the density of the games. So that's all it's been is film. And listen, most teams run very similar stuff, so a lot of it's just figuring out the wording of it and whatnot. But yeah, like you said today, we're watching clips of what we can do offensively, and there's 3 or 4 clips where it's the Clippers, and we're just kind of seeing what James is doing. So there's definitely been some mix and match, but those guys are smart players. They know how to fit in. They've been around, so so far it's been great with them.
Sir, from the outside looking in, Sam, it feels like there's just a different energy that the addition of James has kind of brought in. How much internally do you guys kind of feel that, and are you feeding off of that on the floor?
Yeah, I think we were already playing much better, and I think our energy had been great, and felt like the things that we'd been working on early that maybe weren't working as well have started to click for us. And then you bring in a guy like that, you bring in Dennis and Keon, like, no matter who it is, I think there's always that new type of energy when you bring in new guys. But it's been great. James has been very vocal in film sessions and in timeouts, in huddles. Like, so I've watched this guy my whole life, but you don't really know until you're there. And so his communication so far has been great. Dennis, same thing. It's been fun, and we talked about going into this break with some momentum, and we've certainly done that.
You talked about not having the practice reps with, especially James. How much, it doesn't look like it's been all that challenging, like it seems like it's been pretty flawless, but how challenging is that really, to not have those reps and just kind of be out there doing it on the fly?
Yeah, again, most of it's just new terminology, and there have been some things that teams have gotten to that are a little more in depth that we haven't had a chance to go over. So there's been some, I don't want to call them mistakes because those guys just don't know what we do there. So there's been maybe some miscommunication with a few things. But I always tell people, even the dumbest NBA player is still pretty smart from a basketball standpoint. Because you especially like if you're a young guy trying to make your way, like if you make game plan mistakes, you're not gonna have a chance. So we got a lot of smart guys, and like I said, these three guys have been around and have played, and so it's been, I think for the most part, pretty seamless.
Yeah.
Sam, you described, or you used the phrase risk averse when you were describing your decision making. How do you find that line between trying to be particular or even perfect because you're so proficient, but also being aggressive?
Yeah, for me, it's always just trying to make the right basketball play, and sometimes that's shooting it. Like sometimes not always, but sometimes a contested shot can be a good shot for us. So that's kind of what it's like for me. Like I'm not really a guy that's going to force it, whether that's passing or shooting or whatever. That's just never really been in my DNA. But if you've hit 6 in a row, like it's okay to shoot a contested one occasionally. So.
How do you keep your cool head? You say that you never panic. Do you ever get the intrusive thought, like when you're on a heater, or do you what's that mental self-talk like?
I've just always tried to, I tell myself if you're gonna try and not get mad when you're 0 for 4, like if you're not gonna get too low, you can't get too high. And we always talk about never too high, never too low, but we only focus on one side of that. So like I said, it's just, for me, it's always about you're only as good as your next shot. And yeah, like obviously I know I'm hot and want to get another 3 up and whatnot, but it's just things can change quickly throughout a game in this league. So I really like you said, just try and keep a level head and move on to the next one.
Last one, front row.
Sam, Sharif Cooper is now with the Wizards. You guys were together with the Charge a few years ago, also with Evan's brother. How cool has it been to see your journey, also his journey going to China and then coming back to the NBA? And what do you remember from those days?
Yeah, I talked to him a little bit after the game. Like, it's been cool to see how he's made his way back, and he's been playing pretty well lately for them. So that's been great for him. And we had a really good G League team. Mike G, who's our runs our defense now, was our head coach. Omar Cook was on staff, who's with us now. DJ Ham, who's now head of PD for the Kings. Like, we had a great staff, great group of guys. I look back fondly on those times, even though it was tough. But really cool to see Sharif doing what he's doing.
Okay. Well,
Thank you, guys.